hardest schedule, and they get the bye.
Obviously, we feel like we can continue to get better and better.
I think it'll be a positive for us.
Getting that number one seed is important. It's like winning the playoff game, and so I was happy to get that done.
I'm actually proud to say it. I'm so sick of the Kansas City Chiefs, but all you can do is respect them. They roll the Steelers on Christmas Day. 29-10, the final. Courtney, they still haven't scored 30 points in a game this year. I guess that's the only thing they haven't done. They're 15-1, and they've clinched the number one overall seed, home field in the AFC. Good morning on Sportsmanlike's on ESPN Radio. We're on ESPN2. We are on Sirius XM Channel 80. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin. We are in for Evan Canty and Michelle, and we go out to the hotline where we bring in the great Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider. Of all the things about the Chiefs, the way they're built, the way they play, Mike, what is the thing that impresses you the most?
Improvement in season. And what I mean by that specifically, if you look at the depth and health of this team, you know, from adding guys like DeAndre Hopkins, getting back Hollywood Brown, the development of Xavier Worthy, you know, figuring out Joe Tooney. It's really remarkable how much better this team is today than they were even 6 weeks ago.
Mike, Aaron and I have been trying to figure this out all morning because the two of us are in agreement that the Chiefs, we know they're inevitable. They get 3 weeks of rest now. That's wonderful. But yesterday's game taught us a lot, or rather revealed a lot about this Steelers team and where they're at. And we hear Cam Hayward say that they're screwed when they've got 10 guys doing things the right way, 10 guys doing their jobs, and one guy who's not. I think he's referring to somebody on defense just based on the way that he phrased that. Who is he talking about? Like, can you wrap your head around what's going on defense for the Steelers, knowing that they also have a problem on offense at quarterback?
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, Courtney. You know, if I had to guess, it's probably somebody in the secondary. Typically, when you see voided areas or missed tackles, it's going to come from somebody in the secondary. That's typically where those, you know, issues happen. You're not usually going to be talking about, you know, whether or not Keanu Benton was in the right gap or not. So if I had to guess, I'd say somebody in the secondary.
Mike Tannenbaum with us. Mike, do you think that if you're Mike Tomlin, you got to think about, to try to spark your offense, playing both quarterbacks more when Fields is healthy, that both he and Rush should be getting significant snaps?
I do. You know, I've had the good fortune in my career of working with some of the best defensive minds, from Coach Parcells, Coach Belichick, Eric Mangini, Rex Ryan, and I think they'd all say the same thing, that when the quarterback can make plays with his legs, it just impacts spacing, timing, responsibility. It really becomes 11-on-11 football. So, yes, I absolutely would do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 50-50, Aaron, but I do think having the opposing defense prepare for both quarterbacks would only be accretive to Pittsburgh's offense.
Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN front office insider, joining us here on Unsportsmanlike. Let's look at the other game that took place last night down in Houston. We've been talking about this MVP conversation ad nauseum for weeks now, and whether it means anything or not for Lamar Jackson to win it and what that yields for the postseason, there's a non sequitur there. But is there any doubt that he doesn't win it? Like, I mean, the rushing record that he set, the big-time throws, the Mark Andrew one yesterday, all of the efficiency numbers of Lamar Jackson this season versus the other 2 years where he won it. Would he be getting your vote right now if the season ended today?
Yeah, my vote would be firmly etched in pencil because it seems to change every week. This is a tough conversation, guys, because you don't want to denigrate, you know, the second-place person, you know, player. So to me, you can't go wrong with him or Josh Allen for different reasons, but I think he's up to, 42 or 43 combined touchdowns. And the thing that's really impressive, just to take it inside like a draft room, would be his skill development, and specifically from the pocket. You know, he leads the NFL in yards per attempt, and I think that's so important in the way the game's played today, where so much of the ball is, passing offenses, the ball is getting out so quick. He's getting the ball down the field, leading the league in that category. And you look at where he was and where he is, I think he's just gotten so much better, and that speaks to his football character. And I think that's the part to me that's been so impressive, that here's this great player, and in the last couple of years, he's actually gotten a lot better.
Mike, let's get you in trouble and maybe talk about some of these coaching searches just generally. So I thought it was fascinating that Pete Carroll's name came up in regard to the Bears yesterday. He's 73 years old. You know, everybody says it's a young man's game. At the same time, the best coach in the league is Andy Reid, who's 66. Do you think that Chicago should seriously consider a guy who's that age, or do you think that really it's a young man's game and you ought to consider guys who are in their 30s more than guys who are in their 70s?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, and this goes for college football now, especially with the portal and NIL, I think players are selfish and they want to get better. When they get better, they get paid more. So you could be 37, 77, or 87. Players are going to gravitate to coaches they believe will make them better. So if Pete Carroll is still a subject matter expert and can make you better, I think he could still, sort of like capture a room. And you would certainly really consider, obviously, what else, your options are. But that, to me, is the general rule of thumb. Whether or not, a coach can still, quote unquote, be relevant is whether or not players believe they can help him get the players now believe the coach can help that coach. The coach can help them get to where they want to go.
Mike, what's your opinion on how the Bears are going to go about this process of hiring a head coach? We remember weeks ago where we hear from Kevin Warren, CEO and team president, that Ryan Poles, the general manager, A, got the vote of confidence that he'll be there for 2025, and B, we find out he's leading the search. But there seems like there's a lot of ambiguity around the structure. Who's going to be reporting to who, how much power the general manager has, the timeline between the GM and the head coach. That might lead some candidates to be like, might have to think the Chicago job through in a little bit more detail. Is the structure in place, and what you talk with people about around the league, does it feel like the Bears might not have the best process currently etched in stone for what they're going to go through that could lead them to the best head coach candidate?
Yeah, it's funny, Courtney. I've been on both sides of this discussion in various roles, and typically this comes up twice a year, once in the hiring cycle, secondly at the pre-draft press conference when everybody wants to know who has final say. And I always say the same thing regardless of what side of the conversation I'm on, which is it's about a partnership and being collaborative. And I've worked with coaches of all shapes and sizes and personalities, and the bottom line is, like, you have to have healthy respect for whoever your partner is, and you're going to have disagreements, and that's really good and healthy. You just don't want, yes, people around, but it's important that there's a lot of respect and people that can, again, collaborate. So at the end of the day, those things, to me, Courtney, will sort themselves out. But yeah, obviously you have to have somebody, regardless of the final say, that, Ryan Poles could look at and say, hey, this is a partner. This is somebody that we could get in a room, hash things out, disagree, but then get to, whatever the best decision is for us.
Unsportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. What you do with your home and auto have in common. They're yours. Progressive protects them both. Bundle today by going to Progressive.com. Progressive.com. Mike Tannenbaum is our ESPN NFL front office insider, and he joins us now on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN2. Mike, let's talk about some of these fascinating quarterback situations as we look ahead to the offseason. The Niners are eliminated from the playoffs. Do you think they make Brock Purdy one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL? How do you think that situation plays out as we start to look ahead to the offseason?
Yeah, my general rule of thumb is, like, you keep somebody until you have a reasonable way to replace them, meaning either draft capital and or, a trade free agency. So I think Brock Purdy's been a really solid player, probably a B+. He's young, he's ascending, he's high character. So I'd be hard pressed to think that, both sides won't work out a deal given, San Francisco's track record. They don't lose players they want to keep. They have a really good organization and front office. And I'm sure one of the things they got to look at, Aaron, is, hey, if Brock Purdy's a B+, how good can we get him? We just talked about the skill development of Lamar Jackson. And I'm not saying that Brock Purdy's going to be Lamar, but what I am saying is he loves football. He wants to get coached. He's driven. Those are typically players you want to keep in your program.
Do you think he's $60 million worth of a deal on a year-in, year-out basis? It's hard to believe that we have this conversation every single time there's a quarterback that comes due. The thought of somebody needs to reset the market every time, to me, that doesn't sit right with me. Like, not
Yeah.
everybody's deserving of that money. Like, how would you go about the negotiations, bringing something to the table, knowing that his side's probably going to be pushing for that, but likely you don't think that he's actually worth that if you're San Francisco?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think from the team standpoint, you have to say to yourself, look, it's probably more than we want to pay, but what's the alternative? Like, what is the alternative, and how much is that alternative going to cost? And then the inverse of that is for the player to say, hey, look, you're happy here. It's working. It's not perfect, but it's been really good. So let's work out something that's reasonable so we can, leave something on the table here for your teammates. And, we could certainly, go through one more year. We could tag after that. Let's get you some meaningful, guarantees that you've definitely earned. But let's understand that if you want to get to the top of the market, you're several years away, franchise tag and other things we could do. So there's got to be a win-win in there somewhere.
Mike T, who is the team that you think makes the most sense for Kirk Cousins in 2025?
Well, when you start connecting dots, you had a lot of success with Kevin Stefanski. I'd be hard-pressed to think that the Browns won't be looking for a quarterback, to some degree. I think Deshaun Watson, contractually will have to be back there, but I can't imagine, in your city there, Aaron, that you're going to put your eggs in his basket. And then you look at DTR, Jameis Winston, and, can you squeeze Cousins in there and maybe get a year or two out of them?
Mike, I want to circle back real quick to the Steelers because they do play the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 18. That's their next game. We know the Steelers are in the playoffs right now. How viable of a team they are is another question. The Bengals are 7-8. They need a lot of luck to happen elsewhere in order for them to even have a chance. And, of course, they've got to win these next two games coming up to get into the postseason. If they get there, because we've talked a lot about Zach Taylor, whether he could be on the hot seat, whether the direction of the team is going in the right place, what will that say to you about the organization collectively if somehow, amid all of the calamity they had on defense and Joe Burrow putting up MVP-level numbers, if they somehow these next 2 weeks turn all of the negative from the season into a positive and get into the playoffs? Like, how viable of a playoff team would they become if they can somehow get in?
I think it'll be a tough out. They'll be a team nobody wants to play just because of their upside. They had a really weird season. You go back to opening day, that Mike Gesicki, fumble. I mean, think about this. Like, Cincinnati lost at home to the Patriots. I mean, look at that. What an outlier of a game that is. Their A game gets them to the Super Bowl. I mean, their offense is as good as any. I mean, we could talk about Burrow and his MVP candidacy. I don't know if it's that good, but if they get in, no one's going to want to play them.
Mike, appreciate the time as always. Hope you had a great holiday, and we'll have a chance to catch up soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. Happy holidays, guys.
That's Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider. Bunch of interesting stuff there, connecting Cousins to the Browns, talking about the future of some of these quarterbacks, and also talking about the coaching searches. I mean, I know owners want 38-year-old head coaches, Courtney, but the smart thing to do here might be to look at some of the guys who are a little bit older and have some experience, at least as you've said with this Pete Carroll thing, to have the conversation and not dismiss it entirely.
Yeah, because you don't want to turn away knowledge and experience that could help you just because you're looking at somebody's birth date and saying, hey, they might not be if we chose them as our head coach, they might not be around for 2 to 3 years, maybe at most, before retirement. But that doesn't mean that they can't have some role in your organization. Pete Carroll right now is listed as an advisor to the Seattle Seahawks. So, remember last year when they made changes to the staff? It wasn't like a true firing. They let Pete Carroll go out in a very respectful way where He was still part of the organization. He just went up to the front office. It wasn't like, oh, man, these last few seasons have been terrible. Fire him. He did a lot for that organization. He won that organization a Super Bowl, and he can still contribute, just they needed a change at head coach. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the Bears to do an interview with Pete Carroll, decide to go a different direction at head coach, but somehow utilize his ability as a mind of football, of somebody who understands the game, has seen it for a very long time, and has coached at a very high level for a long time. Because clearly there's not enough of those voices or strong enough voices to help guide the direction of this franchise currently. When we talk about home run hires for head coaches, get home run support staff hires too. Those are important.
Yeah, no question. All right, Courtney, I love being able to read this tease into our next segment. I'm going to try to nail it as best I can because I really don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are a mess. I'm going to let you try to fix them, and I'm going to try to keep them broken next as we continue on Sportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This is Unsportsmanlike.
Unsportsmanlike.
Me and Smalls, I think we're good. Smalls chose into the woods. I think we'll be good.
Wait, what?
Don't you like lake cabins and all that? Like, you enjoy that stuff?
Of all people, you're picking me to survive?
Even the yacht in the Hamptons, that's at the woods.
So you going to let him call you out like that?
Again, not wrong.
Don't go anywhere. More Unsportsmanlike next.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Since 1955, the University of Illinois Police Training Institute has been dedicated to making police officers active, respected members of their community. Using the adult learning model, PTI's curriculum focuses on understanding diverse communities and treating everyone with dignity and respect, going beyond state standards, specializing in Brill Lead training, juvenile officer certification, and LGBTQ ally training. Discover more on Facebook and Instagram or visit pti.illinois.edu.
Crime is happening right now in our neighborhoods and across our communities, but you can help stop it with a donation to Champaign County Crime Stoppers. Your tax-deductible donation is an investment in a safer community for your family, your business, and the future we all deserve. Crime Stoppers has been fighting crime and assisting local law enforcement for nearly 4 decades, and we are funded through the generous support of those willing to stand up against crime. Join our ranks by visiting ChampaignCountyCrimeStoppers.org and donating today.
Illinois basketball season is underway. Single game tickets to see your Fighting Illini at State Farm Center are on sale now at fightingillini.com. Great seats are still available. Lock in your tickets for big games against Big Ten opponents before they're gone. Don't miss your chance to see the winningest team in the Big Ten Conference over the last 5 years. Be part of the atmosphere and get tickets at fightingillini.com.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
When you make the right decision, it feels good, like picking the perfect accent rug or choosing a good night's sleep over an all-night crime show binge. It feels really good to make the right insurance decision, too. That's why State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow is right here in Champaign-Urbana to help you select the right protection at the right price. Kurt will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect if the unexpected happens. Just call him when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868. Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Draft somebody. They made it work. But making it work only takes you so far, which is why I really don't think people should be all that surprised that it feels like they've hit their ceiling and this is as good as it's going to get. But there are some ways to mitigate some of the issues going into the postseason. Right now, they're the 5 seed. We'll see where they end up playing in the first round if they fall even lower than that. But this is never, in my opinion, this was never a Steelers team that was going to be a Super Bowl contender, despite the fact that Mike Tomlin just continues to coach these teams into postseason bursts, no matter like how unfathomable it actually seems at the beginning of the year.
You know, I wonder about health. Some of their key players, TJ Watt doesn't seem to be quite the same. They did not have a sack yesterday, despite the depleted offensive line for the Chiefs, and they didn't harass Patrick Mahomes in the way that a lot of people thought they might. I actually think, though, their biggest problems are on offense. You know, when you get a quarterback for $1.5 million, everybody acts like that's still a $30 million. No. It's $1.5 million quarterback. After the game, Russell Wilson still searching for some answers. Here's what he had to say at the podium. Take a listen.
We just have to play cleaner. You know, that's gonna be the first part. I think the second part is we have to study the film and see where we're doing things really well. There's some moments. I mean, we scored a touchdown, got called back. You know, just those things that happen. You know, in key situations and then I think at the end of the day, you know, there's going to be adversity in every season, and it comes in different spaces and places and different times. I'm betting on our guys and who we are and how we're going to respond. I really believe in who we are, the character of guys, the mentality that we have.
Courtney, I'm in Cleveland, where I would love to cover a B-plus football team, but it just feels like the Steelers have been a B-plus now basically since Ben Roethlisberger retired. They make the playoffs every year. They don't win the division, which I don't think they're going to do this year. Baltimore has Cleveland at the end of the year, which I think they'll clean that up and clinch the division championship easily. And so if you're a Steeler fan, you have to ask, are we cool with a B to B plus? Or are we holding ourselves to a Super Bowl standard, trying to win our 7th Super Bowl in our franchise history? Because I don't know if the core of this team is good enough to get you there, but it's also not bad enough to totally hit the reset button.
I believe the Gen Z term for this is mid.
Yeah.
Can I get some confirmation from my Gen Z
hold on.
cohorts in studio? I think this is a mid team.
No, I think they're better than mid. That's the problem. They almost wish they were mid.
Are they, though?
Yeah.
How are they better than mid?
They're above average.
That's basically what mid is. If you ask a Gen Z person, it's a team that is good but not good enough. It's a team that can be good but not great. That's what they are. And there's so much within this offense that should show you they can be better, but they're just not. Najee Harris in the season that he's had, Jaylen Warren, mid. Nothing that's going to wow you, nothing that's super spectacular. The offensive line, especially along the interior, not very good. Quarterback play, good in moments, but will fail you in the big moments. And then, of course, the receiving core. It's George Pickens, and then it's everybody else. And he was injured for 3 games in a recent stretch, and you could see how much the offense took a step back within that. When Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, and the group of misfit toys, and I mean that in an endearing fashion, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I want to say something though, because I've been listening to that Russell Wilson sound when he's talking about the issues, and we need to be, we need to clean up mistakes, we need to be better. Can we take some accountability here? You turned the ball over 2 times, my guy. You fumbled on 3rd and 2, which was just outside of your own red zone. And then he threw the pick 1 play after they scored the touchdown, which, yes, you can be upset about the penalties. I believe that was that on Washington? Because I know he was pretty upset about it on the sideline. You can be upset about those things and think that those are things that are holding you back. But how about some accountability on you, saying those turnovers, I have to play better. I did not like the sound of how he came across after the game because that lacked accountability. That lacked a quarterback who was a leader in that moment in stepping up for his guys. I mean, he was not a leader when he didn't see the defensive back and threw the ball right to him in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah.
But then
Courtney, I think that's fair.
absolve himself of blame.
That's fair.
That really rubs me the wrong way. And this is not the first time we've heard this from Russell Wilson. I'm not surprised about it, but this is not the right time when it feels like the wheels are coming off. You've got guys on the defense calling each other out, and we think it might be somebody in the secondary. But what if they're talking about Russell Wilson and realizing, hey, we've done our job in more moments than you've done your job. Yep. If we don't get past the first round, it's not going to be because of the defense. I mean, yeah, you need more than 0 sacks in a game. TJ Watt's not the same player right now because I think he's playing through that ankle injury. I think he's got a hand injury too. He's hurt. Cam Hayward can't do it alone. But that defense, collectively, I'll bet on that defense 10 out of 10 times before I would bet on Russell Wilson to be the reason that they get out of the first round of the playoffs.
A reminder also for Steelers, like this, if they go one and this is not a Mike Tomlin problem.
Correct.
Look, I would put it this way, okay? If that guy was available on the open coaching market, everybody would be falling all over themselves. Who are you going to get to coach your team that you think is better than that? So don't blame the wrong person here. You've got a $1 million quarterback. Like that's your problem is that that's exactly what you have. Yeah.
But is there real discourse?
Yes.
You're in the AFC North. You know this better than me. Is there real discourse from Steelers fans that Mike Tomlin is not the right coach for this team? Please explain that to me if that's true.
Well, they don't like the fact that he sometimes gets overly conservative, and I agree there are too many punts on 4th and 1. Like, he's not a perfect coach, okay? But they keep going back to, we're sick of being one and done in the playoffs. Their problem is different, Courtney, than so many other struggling teams in the NFL. You cover the Bears, I cover the Browns. Our fan base is, if we went one and done in a playoff year, if I told you the Bears would go one and done in the playoffs next year, oh my God, people would be falling all over themselves in excitement. The parade down Lakeshore Drive would start. In Pittsburgh, the standard is just different. You know, they feel like if they're not competing for a Super Bowl, it's not good enough. And what I would tell them is stop looking at the coach and start looking at who the quarterbacks have been since Ben Roethlisberger got washed up. It's not good enough at that position. You're in a division with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, and your guys cannot hold a candle to the way those two guys play on a consistent basis. To me, that's where the problem starts.
And that's where it's going to be until they make a big investment on a quarterback. In the last couple of years, they drafted Kenny Pickett. He was supposed to be the succession plan to Ben Roethlisberger. It didn't work. This was their way of like doing it on a discount this year with Russ and then trading a conditional 6th for Justin Fields. That's nothing. Right. This was the cheap way of doing it, going in the bargain bin and actually getting, it's like when you go and find the outfit that you want on clearance.
Sure.
And it only lasts for so long.
Yep.
This is not a high-end purchase that you end up, like, investing in, like, you know, the Red Wing boots that people have. I had them in Minnesota. They're like the ones that last you 15 years if you oil them and take care of them. This is not that sort of purchase. This is one that you're going to get. This is Dream Pairs, which those are Amazon shoes that last you one season because the soles fall off.
Sure.
How do I know this? This happened to me in the airport coming back from Minnesota 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to get one season out of these shoes, but they got the job done because they were good enough. That's what the quarterback situation is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And until they actually, and it's going to be a next year problem. So, I mean, it comes into play because remember there was a point in time where they're like, Russell Wilson, maybe he'll be the next quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers or he'll stay the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers and get a 2 to 3 year contract extension because it was good enough. They have to be comfortable not being good enough and trying to go for the great. Go for something that makes you not a mid-team, which is a weird thing to say about a team that is perennially in the playoffs, but perennially out after the wild card round. It's hard to build a team to go win a Super Bowl. I make this analogy a lot. I think that there are teams like the Minnesota Vikings, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that want to be at the cool kids table in high school at lunch, but they never want to be prom queen. And because it takes a lot to get to that upper echelon where you are consistently making very difficult decisions and getting the decisions right in a very short amount of time to be able to act on that. And that's something that very few franchises can do. Steelers used to be one of those franchises when they had stable quarterback play. They're not anymore because they're trying to plug holes with Scotch tape, and it's not working.
Courtney, I need some wardrobe updates. You want to meet me for a little Ross dress for less or a little TJ Maxx later? We might run into the Roonies and Mike Tomlin.
Shopping in the bargain bin.
Because that's where they're going for their quarterbacks. Coming up next, there is an NBA superstar who might be on the verge of getting traded. Who is it? We discuss as we continue on Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
There's an intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The stakes get much higher.
Arizona State versus Texas. The College Football Playoff Quarterfinals. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-294-0222. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-294-0222. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club.
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Rieken, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Hey, Illini fans, Steve from Good Vibes here with Citrus Bowl-bound linebacker and special teams player Kenenna Odeluga.
You know, I can't wait to party on New Year's Eve, and my idea of a party involves tacos.
Unfortunately, most of us can't join you in Orlando, but we'll be watching and eating Cheez-Its and drinking orange juice.
Yeah, you probably have one of those 98-inch Sonys at home.
Well, no, KO, but I do have 3 Sony OLEDs because the picture and sound are so good, I can pick out number 39 every time you take the field.
So not even an 85-inch? Football is best enjoyed extra large.
Well, my 77-inch is just right for my room, but there are deals on all the extra large screens. This is nothing you want to fumble on or pass up.
And Good Vibes delivers free? That's like the extra point.
Get the Good Vibes for that extra large Sony on sale in time to see KO knock down a few Gamecocks.
ILO.
INI.
If you're in the market for a new car battery, you could go to one of those big box stores, except there's no guarantee you'll be served by an actual car expert.
Clean up in aisle 3.
You could pick a battery off the shelf, except it might be close to expiring. Or you could just come into Interstate. Don't make a big box store blunder. With competitive prices and a more personal, reliable approach, Interstate Batteries is the clear-cut choice if you want to guarantee yourself a new and trustworthy car battery. They're open and ready to serve you at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign.
Springfield Avenue is now open. Yes, Springfield Avenue is now open. So from Kenwood to Duncan, you can visit El Toro easily, and it's open. Your favorite Mexican restaurant is open once again. After 4 months of construction, come and see the good people at El Toro on West Springfield. They've got your favorite Mexican dish, and they're open 7 days a week. Springfield Avenue is open. Enjoy El Toro Restaurant right on Springfield near Kaufman Lake, and enjoy your favorite Mexican restaurant. El Toro on West Springfield in Champaign.
Range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Evan, Kenzie, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I guess I'm used to the Miami Heat stealing everybody else's superstars, but now there's the possibility that their star could be the one that's actually on the move. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin. Unsportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio. We are on ESPN2 where you can watch us. On Sirius XM Channel 80, Courtney, we get the report yesterday from Shams Charania of ESPN about the future of Jimmy Butler and the fact that apparently he prefers a trade out of Miami. People have talked about Golden State as a possibility. I think the Houston Rockets are more likely just because I think the salary structure and what they can give back makes a lot more sense for Houston than it would for the Golden State Warriors. And while I know people might be scoffing at me saying, Jimmy Butler's not a superstar, Jimmy Butler's washed up, Jimmy Butler can't play 55 games in an NBA season. Guys, he might not be the guy that you want on the floor in December and January, but he proved time and time again that he is absolutely the guy you want on your team in April and May. And for a bona fide contender, I mean, Jimmy Butler could end up being a major upgrade and a piece that puts a team over the top for a championship just because he is so nails as a playoff player.
Well, think about the Golden State Warriors last night. Not saying that like Jimmy Butler changes the fact that they lose that game by 2 points. It was, pretty poor defense on the final Austin Reeves layup that cost them that game. But Steph Curry right now, I'm looking at these numbers on this. Like, he's past his prime. Like, his career's not going to last forever, but he's still incredible, and he continues to remind us of that. This team, though, will probably not be able to contend for a title without some sort of upgrade happening in 2025 somewhere on the roster. So when this surfaced weeks ago, it was interesting that it came out yesterday because we had heard about this probably dating back to like the end of November that Jimmy Butler wanted out of Miami. He's got $49 million left on his contract. He's got that player option. So regardless, like he would waive that to be able to go to any of his preferred destinations. But like where would make sense? You know what I mean? Like his defense, pairing that with Draymond Green, for example, I think makes Golden State incredibly tough to score on. His playmaking then leads to more open looks for Steph Curry. He's not going to space the floor the way that you would like typically see like some of their elite wings do. But Jonathan Kuminga doesn't exactly help you on that front either. So you see what I'm trying to like make this work because rationally you can make it work with the Golden State Warriors financially and from an on-floor fit. Like some of those other names that you mentioned, Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks, I think, would be in there too, the Houston Rockets. Yeah. Any of those teams could stand to have a defensive upgrade, first and foremost, with Jimmy Butler, and then all of the other things that you get, the intangible stuff too, that can help you if you're a team that's trying to get over the hump, not necessarily like rebuild something or like establish a brand new culture, but have one piece of the mix that's going to be ultimately what gets this team past maybe it could be like from a conference semifinals into a conference finals.
Look, one team that apparently has interest, and I don't know what the salary ramifications of this would be because I know they have 3 max players, is the Phoenix Suns. Shams was on with Freddie and Harry yesterday here on ESPN Radio and talked about the possibility of that fit.
Both teams are really going to have to navigate that over the last few weeks. I will say I think there's mutual strong interest between the Suns and Jimmy Butler. The Warriors have been in kind of a wait and see how it looks with Dennis Schroeder now after they made that trade with the Nets. Seeing how he looks in the lineup before they make decisions close to the deadline. What else pops up for the Warriors? But the Suns have a level of motivation. This is a team that's already win now. They're already trying to win. So if you can make an upgrade to the roster, you would need Brad Beal's contract. You really just have to justify, is that worth the upgrade? And for sure, I think there is a sense that Jimmy Butler is a win now player for any team that wants to contend for a championship. We know come playoff time, he turns his game up to another level, and his numbers somewhat down, I guess you would say, around 19 points a game, around 5-6 rebounds, 5 assists. But he's had his most efficient season in quite some time.
You can tell, the Heat are probably going in a different direction, and it's time for them to think about rebuilding, Courtney. I look at the Rockets, for example. Do they think they're Jimmy Butler away from being a legitimate Western Conference contender? Not in 3 years, not in 5 years when Şengün is an all-star. Do they think they can do it right now? Because they're the team, I think, that has the most ammunition. But it also would mean if they were ever going to chase another superstar, like, I don't know, maybe there's a guy in Milwaukee, not to throw out any specific names, but this might limit their ability to make that move down the road. So to see what kind of deals can materialize and how they can try to structure a deal, given the salary ramifications of the new collective bargaining agreement, really interesting to watch where Jimmy Butler ends up before February 6th.
Yeah, it won't be an easy trade. You know what I mean? I think that's why the timeline's being put out there right now. You have about a month and a half to get this done because it's going to take some finessing from front offices and maybe even the Miami Heat having to take on some of the ramifications and get draft capital back in exchange for moving Jimmy Butler. Maybe they should have done this last year. I mean, Jimmy going to picture day with the emo hair and the nose ring and everything else.
Sending a bit of a message.
Sending a message that they should have hit reboot sooner than right now. But if you're the Rockets, if you're any team that's young and ready to take that next step, Jimmy's 35 years old. It's not like you're going to get a short-term investment on him if you bring him in now. It's just, how does he fit into what are there deficiencies currently on the team that get an instant upgrade from bringing him in? Any of those teams that you mentioned, I mean, we've gone through it in the Golden State Warriors scenario. I think, with Ime Udoka and what he's built down in a very short amount of time with the Houston Rockets, you bring in somebody that can match that intensity, match that energy, and play that way. That's a team that becomes very scary for Oklahoma City, for the Dallas Mavericks, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, so on and so forth. A team that you wouldn't want to face. We know what his playoff numbers are. He plays better in the postseason.
It's a playoff killer. And there are a few guys who are like that where they just raise their game in the biggest games, and Jimmy Butler's definitely one. I think whoever trades for him also has to be very eyes wide open about what kind of teammate he is. There's audio of him and Eric Spoelstra yelling at each other on the bench. I mean, yelling at each other on the bench. We know what happened in Minnesota. We know what happened at times in Philadelphia. I'm not questioning him as a competitor at all. A guy with that intensity who has maybe some diminishing skills, I think that also has to factor into the thought process. This will be a really interesting one as we get closer and closer to the deadline, and he might not be the only big name that could come available between now and February the 6th. Coming up next, we get back to football. But before we do that, we got to get a comment about Vivid Seats. And with that, here's Courtney Cronin.
Vivid Seats, your ultimate football destination for all the gridiron action with a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets. They make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. See every tackle, toe drag, catch, touchdown, and see it all live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
ESPN Radio, home of the World Series.
The Dodgers are World Series champions.
The NBA Finals.
The Celtics, the 2024 NBA champions.
And the College Football National Championship.
Michigan has won the College Football National Championship.
This is ESPN Radio. It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
Touchdown! The electricity, the atmosphere.
At the 5 and into the end zone. This is why you do what you do.
This college football season has been nothing short of magical.
Coverage continues tonight with the Ray Bowl at 5 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
This is Freddie and Harry.
I believe they can contend, but I think the ceiling for them is the NFC Championship game. And it's because you're dealing with a quarterback in Sam Darnold who has not been to the playoffs, who's not experienced that setting. And as great as Kevin O'Connell has been able to coach him up, will Sam Darnold in the playoff setting resort back to what Sam Darnold used to be?
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
30 for 30 presents the New York Stock Exchange.
Flecko, Lyon, Salam, Gastineau.
If you hit a quarterback and if they got up, you didn't do your job.
They were a brotherhood.
There is no magic formula for controlling the New York Stock Exchange.
But brothers don't always play nice.
Flacco could not stand me.
I should be waiting all day for you.
Well, get down on the stairs. I don't know what you were doing.
I'm still trying to forgive and forget.
Stream the New York Stock Exchange, now on ESPN+.
The Elle Duncan Show.
First, I want to start with Time Magazine, Ari, and I think this is maybe the least surprising announcement of the year, that the Athlete of the Year for Time Magazine is Caitlin Clark. I mean, we've never, ever seen somebody in this way capture an audience, capture a new audience, and be able to absolutely attribute real numbers and statistics to their popularity.
We talk about ceilings a lot, but she created a new floor.
You can find the Elle Duncan Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
The college football playoff has arrived. Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
The stakes get much higher.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
There's intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Arizona State versus Texas.
The magic continues.
The college football playoff quarterfinals.
You can feel the electricity.
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
The college football playoff quarterfinals kick off on ESPN. New Year's Eve, Penn State and Boise State battle at 7:30 p.m. Eastern in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Then a New Year's Day triple-header. At 1 p.m. Eastern, Texas takes on Arizona State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. At 5, Ohio State seeks revenge against Oregon in the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. And at 8:45, a battle in the Big Easy as Notre Dame faces Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. The college football playoff quarterfinals, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN.
Go to school,
learn, or something.
No.
Who will we learn more about this week?
Unsportsmanlike continues on ESPN Radio, ESPN app. We are on ESPNU if you want to watch. SiriusXM Channel 80 as well. And it's time for us to go to school, time for us to go to class. The day after Christmas, we have to go to school. What is this? Who are we going to learn more about as we go through some of the matchups in this week's NFL slate? The Broncos at 9-6 head to Cincinnati, 7-8. Denver really needs this game for the playoffs. So do the Bengals. I could argue it's actually the biggest game of Week 17. It's Saturday. It's 4:30 Eastern time. Do you think this game will say more about what's going on in Denver or what's going on in Cincinnati, Courtney?
Probably Denver, because they're coming off the win. It was the loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, back and forth affair. They had that game won and then they lost it, and they need this win in order to get to the playoffs. The Chargers right now are in line for a spot. They're fine. I'm worried about Denver hanging on to that 7 seed. They've got to go on the road to do it in Cincinnati, a team that needs a lot of help and is fighting for its own playoff lives in its own right. We'll learn a lot about Bo Nix, because I was really impressed with him coming off that win they had against the Indianapolis Colts, or against the Cleveland Browns, when he turns the ball over 3 different times and they still go out and score 17 points in the final 20 minutes. The back and forth affair from last week and the air that was let out of the balloon, if they can go on the road, if they can pull out a convincing win, then I'm going to feel really good about them going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I know everybody's trying to get Cincinnati into the playoffs because having Joe Burrow there would be fun. I just think it's too much for the Bengals to overcome. I think they put themselves way too far behind and then just waited too long to try to turn it on. So I agree with you. I think this game says more about what's going on with Denver. The Packers are in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Both of these teams we know are playoff teams. Minnesota needs this game, though, to try to keep pace with Detroit and have a chance to win the NFC North. Who do you think this game is going to say more about, either Green Bay or Minnesota? It's your division, Courtney.
It's Minnesota because they're the hunted right now. They're a team that has 13 wins. They're eyeing where Detroit is, currently sitting atop the division, and they've played really good football at home. And we saw how well they played in the first half against the Green Bay Packers the first time around before Sam Darnold threw the red zone interception and they let them back in. That game was way closer than it needed to be. If the Vikings can get to win number 14, if they can beat the Green Bay Packers, keep some distance between themselves and currently the third place team in the NFC North, I feel real confident going into that next game. To me, this is not just about this week. It's the next game against the Detroit Lions where Minnesota, the division's going to be up for grabs. They need it this week so they can set themselves up to go rip that division away from Detroit in Week 18.
If they got home field, I think either one of these teams is a bona fide Super Bowl contender. I just don't know that they're capable of really going on a long run on the road. I do think it's a bigger game for Minnesota because I think that they could really use a wild home field advantage and also a bye, and they have a chance to do that and overtake the Lions. Although, again, I'm going to be interested to watch this just because I think these are two of the 5 best teams in football. I think 3 of the 5 best teams, maybe 3 of the 6 best teams play in the NFC North. The Cardinals go to Los Angeles. This is a huge game for the Rams because they can really grab win number 10 here and secure the NFC West. Arizona is eliminated from the playoffs, but kind of curious to see how they're going to continue to play for Jonathan Gannon, how Kyler Murray is going to react to now being out at the end of a long season. Who do you think this game says more about, the Rams or the Cardinals?
The Cardinals are toast, man. Like, both of their starting tackles aren't playing tonight. James Conner's hurt. I don't know. Do they really care about playing spoiler? I mean, there are some teams where you're like, that means a lot for them. I don't think it means anything for Arizona. The Rams, from where they started and how injured they were and being able to take advantage of the health that they have right now, skill position-wise on offense, and how well Matthew Stafford's playing, to get to 10 wins tonight, to be in line for, I believe it's the 3 seed in the NFC playoffs, that says so much about a team that can overcome things in the regular season that are out of their control. Yeah. And that's a team that's very dangerous when you get into the playoffs, coupled by the fact that you have the quarterback with the most experience of anybody currently playing in the NFC or AFC playoff picture. So if the Rams can pull out this win, I mean, the team that I'm covering tonight, the Seattle Seahawks, they need the Rams to lose this game. So there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching, not just in the NFC West, but elsewhere within the NFC, of teams trying to see, can the Rams actually do it, given where they started and where they're trying to finish off here in the month of December.
Court, can you imagine Green Bay or Minnesota, likely, maybe even Detroit, could have this amazing season, and then congratulations for Wild Card Weekend. You get to go to L.A. to play Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. Be an interesting one. Finally, Sunday Night Football, you got the Falcons at 8-7 taking on the 10-5, likely playoff-bound Washington Commanders. I think this is all about Atlanta. They got essentially a bye and a free win against the New York Giants last week. Now, this is really Michael Penix Jr.'s debut, as he's got to go to Washington and try to win, and they've got Tampa Bay right on their heels with a pretty easy schedule for the Bucs in the remaining 2 weeks.
I'll take the Commanders then on this side of the matchup. They can clinch a playoff berth with a win here, so that's important, and we know this has not been a playoff team in recent years. Watching what they did, watching that legacy drive from Jaden Daniels in the final minute and 45 against the Philadelphia Eagles, throwing 5 touchdowns in a game, first time that's happened since 1991. I want to see him do it again. I want to see him do it against what is categorized as a lesser opponent, coming off of that emotionally high win that they had over the Philadelphia Eagles to try to, I know this looks like it's Phillies. Philly will probably end up winning the NFC East. I don't have any doubt about that. But for me, with what the Commanders can prove about coming off a big win and following it up with an even bigger one to get to 11 wins, it's almost unfathomable to think about with this franchise, considering where they were at this time 365 days ago.
That is who we will learn more about this weekend in the NFL. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. Courtney Cronin on Sportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio. You can watch us on ESPNU. Really tricky spot for me last night, Courtney, and curious to get your read on it. I got a last-minute invitation over to somebody's house for a first night of Hanukkah party. My family, my wife and kids are out of town, and I'm kind of running the house solo, and it's hard to be alone, on Christmas and on Hanukkah and during the holidays. So I get a last-minute invitation. Courtney, what are the real rules about bringing something to somebody's house when they have you over for dinner?
You
like
always
it was Christmas.
show up with something.
But what was I going to get on Christmas?
Wine.
From where?
The grocery store.
But nothing, Courtney, nothing's open. It's Christmas. What grocery stores?
Aaron, in Northeast Ohio, of all places, there is always a liquor store within striking distance. Did you not bring anything?
Not open on Christmas. I went empty. I told them, I apologized in advance. But now the question is whether I got to drop something off today, like a plant or something, because I feel bad coming in empty-handed. We get ready for Thursday night football tonight. Courtney, it's your team. Can the Chicago Bears end their 9-game losing streak? And does anybody care? More on Sportsmanlike next.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code BUY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Illinois basketball season is underway. Single-game tickets to see your Fighting Illini at State Farm Center are on sale now at fightingillini.com. Great seats are still available. Lock in your tickets for big games against Big Ten opponents before they're gone. Don't miss your chance to see the winningest team in the Big Ten Conference over the last 5 years. Be part of the atmosphere and get tickets at fightingillini.com.
You're great, Tim. You're great to have on. We love what you do. You're very talented as a manager taking care of Gelfrix and dedicated diesel, but I'm impressed how much energy you have for all that.
We're just honored to be able to wear the GFT logo and do that, and the people at Dedicated Diesel do a great job. Everybody needs to get over there and get those awesome, like new used mowers bought up and get out of there so we have room for some new ones. And talk to Andy there at 217-328-0562. He'll give you a great deal and get those things going.
And where's that located?
But that's at 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana. We've got a wonderful crew, and at the end of the year here, I just want to thank all of our drivers, customers, and employees. We have the best guy to work for in Gelfrix. You all and your families have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you next year.
Thank you, Tim. Tim Onstop, Pitmaster Extraordinaire, Gelfrix Trucking, and Dedicated Diesel.
If you want a hand-cut, perfectly cooked filet, there's only one place to get it, the Long Branch Steakhouse in downtown Gifford. Customers rave about Donnie's fillets, so tender that you can cut it with your fork. Don't go to an ordinary steakhouse, choose Long Branch and have it your way. Join the many people who know that it's worth the trip. The Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford. And remember, there's always room for Long Branch.
Illini fans win free tickets. Stevie J Broadcasting has teamed up with Express Employment Professionals, your local link to top talent opportunities. Text Illini to 217-359-2255 for your chance to win tickets to upcoming home games. That's Illini to 359-2255. Express Employment Professionals, respecting people, impacting business at 1001 North Mattis. Express Employment Professionals says go Illini. Visit expresspros.com.
Good morning, First Federal Savings Bank. How may I direct your call?
Speak with friendly, real people during lobby hours. It matters when you call First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana. A real person located at the bank. Not a recording answers your call during lobby hours. Personal, friendly service makes a difference. 217-356-BANK.
Thank you for calling. Have a great day.
Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial, Inc. Fast, friendly, and local with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 435120.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club.
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Rieken, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, get the whole store.
On hold exactly. I want minutes and seconds.
2 hours, 50 minutes, and 28 seconds.
Wait.
That's dedication. Those are the listeners who make Unsportsmanlike the best show on ESPN Radio.
Mark, you think when we go to
people
Bobby
are that dedicated
that he's going to be there? Yes or no? Will Bobby be there?
Probably not, but we could try.
Courtney, will Bobby be there? Yes
yeah,
or no?
Bobby will be there. Bobby, you better not let me down. You better be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a drum roll that we could play before we go to Bobby in Georgia? By the way, Thursday night football tonight, we're trying to do anything but make Courtney talk about the 4-11 Chicago Bears. Can we get a drum roll, please? Here we go. Bobby in Georgia, you're on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Good morning.
Oh, look at you.
Bobby, you did me well. Thank you for hanging on. Bobby's the best listener.
I have to say, I will have to say I forgot why I called y'all.
Wait, no, Bobby, I can tell you right here. We have it on the screen. I remember when Aaron threw out the phones at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the biggest winners of Christmas Day in sports. Do you remember what your answer was?
Well, the winner, I believe, are the fans. The fans, because you got those that love basketball, they got those that love football. You know, only thing we were missing was basketball. I hated that college basketball didn't have any top-tier teams playing, but that's all right. The loser, the haters of Christmas puns. Oh, my goodness. If you could do a montage of the Christmas puns by the announcers throughout the games, wow. I was rolling my eyes so much I have a headache still today.
So are you saying both NBA or NFL, or NBA was worse than NFL from what you heard? Because I watch a lot of games on mute.
No, not at all. I think the NBA won overall as far as end product, but you can't blame the NFL for the lack of play by the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Houston Texans. It looked like a good marquee matchup. It's just that the fans won. The fans won overall because you got those that they'd rather watch a blowout football game than a tight, good basketball game, and vice versa. So I think the fans won this one. As far as if you go head to head between NFL and NBA overall in the end game, it's got to be the NBA. The NBA, they had greater games.
Their product was better, but who had the worst puns? Is what I'm asking: the NFL announcers or the NBA announcers?
The answer to that question is yes. The NBA had the worst puns. The NBA was terrible. They kept saying, "Oh, he's got another gift for him," or "He's got he's distributing coal with no socks."
There's coal in his stocking for Anthony Davis, who went out with an injury. Bobby, thank you so much for the call. It is what you would call, Courtney, low-hanging fruit to just make a bunch of Look, I get it. I think we're probably guilty of it yesterday as well. I love a dad joke or four, in my life. So
I want to say something, though, in regards to what he mentioned about these blowouts, because remember people were up in arms, what was it, 5-6 days ago with the college football playoff?
Yeah,
and
right.
freaking out with these first-round matchups that we saw. Indiana getting blown out, SMU not showing up, what happened between Ohio State and Tennessee. Like, we saw that same sort of thing against 4 teams in 2 games, all 4 of whom are going to the playoffs.
Right.
Where's that same energy this morning from the people who were all upset from different corners of the college football world about the games and the product that we saw during the first round of the CFP?
Yeah. We got to give it more than 1 year. Now, if we go 4 years and have blowouts in every round.
But blowouts happen.
Correct.
They continue to happen in the NFL among playoff teams. Of course, you want close games. You want the back-and-forth affair. You want the 13-second Patrick Mahomes thing to happen. But you also know that in football, in competitive games, in competitive sport, rather,
right,
you're going to get blowouts from time to time. It happens. It doesn't mean that the product is bad. It just means you had a really damn good competitive team that on that day was better than the other really competitive team that has a record to reflect how competitive they are.
I thought Troy Aikman nailed this on the Monday Night Football broadcast on ESPN. Like, we've had a lot of Super Bowls that have been really lopsided. The one Super Bowl I've ever attended as a fan, my Denver Broncos lost 43-8 to the Seattle Seahawks. So don't I know that blowouts can happen? We all want the classic Super Bowl with Malcolm Butler intercepting the ball at the goal line. We all want every football game we watch to be the greatest football game ever. But I think fans sometimes get spoiled because they're used to these really rich windows of games, like they're watching the Red Zone channel, where eventually the blowout fades to the background and only the good games come to the forefront. No, when there's only one game per window, sometimes, yes, you're going to get a lot of really lopsided games. On Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance, Progressive offers great price, round-the-clock protection, bundling home and auto. It is one of the rare times when you could save money and get something great. Bundle today. Go to Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com. All right, I wasted enough time. I guess now we have to get into the substance of the Seahawks and the Chicago Bears, which is our Thursday night game tonight.
You did a great filibuster for 6 minutes in this segment, taking a call, talking about, I also helped you with that, talking about the CFP and relating it to playoff games or playoff caliber games in the NFL.
Sure.
Aaron, it's hard to talk about teams that, frankly, have very little to play for at this point. The Bears certainly don't. The Seahawks don't control their own destiny. We give them a 19% chance at ESPN's FBI to make the postseason. They desperately need the Rams to lose this weekend. These are hard games to talk about at this time of year. So thank you for doing me the service of a good teammate, of allowing me to talk about other things instead of this game.
Well, listen, I also have a couple good angles on this game, so I want to get to them. Is there anybody in Chicago that has Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels remorse, watching the way Daniels has played and the way he's changed the Washington franchise? Or are we not at the point yet where those calls are filling Chicago Sports Talk Radio on our great affiliate there at ESPN 1000?
There are definitely people within the fan base who look at Jaden Daniels and say, why did you go Caleb Williams over the quarterback with A, more college experience, and B, who fit into an offense right away? In Washington versus how Caleb Williams and Shane Waldron never seem to be on the same page. There's a firing, and even with the switch in offensive coordinator, you're seeing improvement, but you're not seeing the Jaden Daniels level of improvement. There are people who believe that, and that's fine. But if you look back on it, if you talk to people around the NFL, was anybody thinking that they were going, like, that without a shadow of a doubt, Jaden Daniels was the better prospect back in April? No, nobody was. And we can all play armchair quarterback if we want to. 10 out of 10 times, the Bears would do it over again and take Caleb Williams. Now, are there changes they would have made to the coaching staff from last January till the time that Caleb Williams took his first snap as a pro? Yeah, of course there are, but I just don't see anybody realistically giving up on Caleb after his first year. He's overcome some pretty bad circumstances as a rookie. I have a story up on ESPN.com today talking about the dysfunction that he went through.
Oh my gosh.
He's still like his passing numbers. He could finish as the third most productive passer in a single season in franchise history.
Yes.
That is a very
lot
low
of it
bar.
In garbage time, but
Correct.
and it's
a
the
very
Bears.
low bar, but
Right.
like that is still remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah, all the different coordinators, all the different turmoil that he, even going all the way back to the position that they put him in against Tennessee in that very first game. The other thing I wanted to pick your brain on here. Okay, it is 42 and foggy. Does that sound about right in Chicago right now?
I'm looking out my window right now. It's very hard to see the buildings because there is such thick fog. But it'll be a little warmer than it was yesterday.
Right, and it'll be about 47, so better weather tonight. Describe what you think the atmosphere at Soldier Field for this game is going to be. I mean, are we talking booing? Are we talking chants?
Yeah.
Are we talking planes flying overhead with messages like the New York Giant? What do you think we're going to see?
I do think that there will be the boo birds have come out quite a bit. Like the offense has gotten booed off the field. There were a couple instances last week where they went for it and then they got conservative because they claimed that like the field goal attempt was out of the range of the kicker, or they wanted to just like take the points. When you don't have much to play for and you're in a 4-11 season and it does feel like things are over, you just want to see development from the quarterback. So whatever they can do to make sure that Caleb Williams gets his tonight and also can like play a full game, stay healthy, not get hit a lot. Those are hard circumstances when you think about all of the injuries that they have up front, and also just the lack of production that they've gotten out of this offense. But if they can look like they did in the going into halftime against Detroit last week, where the Lions allowed them to score touchdowns on back-to-back drives, I think that you'll get a more positive outlook from the fans. I don't think Seattle fans will travel for this. There were a lot of Lions fans though last week. I can tell you that, and that's obviously a close enough trip for them to make that.
Yep.
It's hard. Like they've had sellouts for nearly every single game. It's not that people don't show up. It's just that fans are kind of jaded at this point about the direction of the team. And I know people who are season ticket holders who are saying, I'm going to sell my tickets. There's no point for me to go tonight.
Yeah, but I also don't know who's going to be in line to buy those tickets. The Seahawks, as you mentioned, need a win to stay in the playoff hunt. Their best chance at making it is by winning their final two games and having the Rams lose to Arizona on Saturday. If that happens, Seattle does play the Rams in Los Angeles in Week 18, the final week of the NFL season. Do I drop off? I went to this party empty-handed last night. Short notice invite. Do I drop off a plant today? A 6-pack of beer on the front porch?
I think you go back with my idea of going to get a bottle of wine. This is going to teach you a couple things, Aaron. Number one, have extra things on hand in case you run into this again.
Just in case? Oh.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having an extra bottle of wine or a gift that you can give to somebody. If you were invited somewhere on short notice, you'll probably be invited again. Unless you don't show up with something today to say thank you so much for having me.
I said thank you so much. And you know what I brought? Great company and awesome stories and Hanukkah songs. I brought it all last night.
You brought the holiday spirit, and I don't doubt that for a second. But go get a bottle of red. I'm sure they will appreciate it.
Leave it on the front porch with a little note that says, sorry that I came empty-handed, didn't have anything. Speaking of not having anything, the Texans had absolutely nothing yesterday. This is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations, even though they're going to make the playoffs. What do they need to change? Because scoring 2 points ain't going to get it done. We continue on Sportsmanlike. I'm Aaron Goldhammer, Courtney Cronin, ESPN Radio. You can watch on ESPNU.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game. Electricity, the atmosphere. Coverage continues tonight with the Ray Bowl at 5 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Illini fans win free tickets. Stevie J Broadcasting has teamed up with Express Employment Professionals, your local link to top talent opportunities. Text Illini to 217-359-2255 for your chance to win tickets to upcoming home games. That's Illini to 359-2255. Express Employment Professionals, respecting people, impacting business at 1001 North Mattis. Express Employment Professionals says go Illini. Visit expresspros.com.
What do we do in New Year's?
How about Houlihan's?
Make it a special night as you wrap up 2024 with a prefix menu with your 4-course meal. Choose from filet mignon or pan-seared red snapper, along with many other options. Make reservations now to have dinner between 5 and 10 p.m. with the last seating at 9. Walk-ins are welcome at 1902 South 1st Street. Look over your menu options at stayattheeye.com/Houlihan's. For details, call 217-819-5005.
30 for 30 presents the New York Sack Exchange.
Blecko, Lyon, Salam, Gastineau.
If you hit a quarterback and if they got up, you didn't do your job.
They were a brotherhood.
There is no magic formula for controlling the New York Sack Exchange.
But brothers don't always play nice.
Flacco could not stand me.
I should have been waiting all day for you.
Well, get down to the stairs.
I don't know what you were doing.
I'm still trying to forgive and forget.
Stream the New York Sack Exchange, now on ESPN+. The college football playoff has arrived. Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
The stakes get much higher.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
There's intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Arizona State versus Texas.
The magic continues.
The college football playoff quarterfinals.
You can feel the electricity.
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Unsportsmanlike with Evan, Canty, and Michelle.
You see a lot of great plays from Lamar Jackson.
Triangle formation in the backfield. Lamar 5 yards deep.
I'm not just proud of him just because he makes great plays.
Comes to the right side, cross the 40. Lamar to the 30. He's gone. 20, 10, 5, touchdown. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson now has the NFL record for the most rushing yards by a quarterback in league history.
Proud of for all the things that go into making the great plays.
Can't deny it. Lamar Jackson's one of the great shows in all of sports. I can't vote for him for MVP until I see him play better in the playoffs, but as a regular season player, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, I think. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She's Courtney Cronin. Unsportsmanlike on this day after Christmas is on ESPNU. If you're watching, what's up? Hello, happy holidays. If you're listening on ESPN Radio, ESPN app, you could check us out on SiriusXM Channel 80. Somehow this was not the first game to finish 31-2 in NFL history. Who was around back in 1965 in the season opener? Tom Landry and the Cowboys beat the Giants 31-2 was the final score. So this was not what they call a scoregami, not the first game ever to end that way. Lamar was on another level. The Texans were a complete disaster. Let's approach this from the Ravens' perspective first. They now have a 1-game lead on Pittsburgh. It seems to me like they are going to once again win the AFC North, and maybe like they're peaking, Courtney, at the right time. Now Lamar just has to play this way in the playoffs for the first time in his career.
And like, I know what you're getting at when you talk about the MVP and not wanting to vote for him until you see him peak at the right time in the playoffs. But let's not forget, the MVP is a regular season award. Voters have to take that into consideration when they're choosing between him, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, like any of the really good candidates that are out there. So I get it, but I also know that that's kind of null and void because when we see Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, it's a different season, more or less. And the one thing that's different from last year is that it felt like they hit their ceiling by Christmas Day when he effectively locked up that MVP award in 2023 when he had the multiple touchdown performance against the San Francisco 49ers. I think they still have a lot left in the tank, which is crazy to think about considering how efficient he was. He completed 10 passes yesterday, and they won by 29 points. He ran for 87 yards. He ran for a touchdown. He breaks the Mike Vick single-season rushing record, most rushing yards by an NFL quarterback in history. In a career, not even just a single-season one. It's what he's doing right now is getting you to believe this will be different this time around. They may not have home field advantage in the playoffs because that's going to the Kansas City Chiefs, who clinched the AFC.
Right.
But this version of Lamar, this offense around Lamar, is hitting its stride at the most critical point of the season, unlike what they did last year.
You know, there are a couple numbers with Lamar. The regular season record, I'll bring up here in a second, is just absolutely spectacular. And his ability to totally change a game while in the box score making it look like, he threw for 168 yards. He had 87 rushing yards. I mean, he had a good game. You almost have to watch the game to feel his level of dominance and the way the field always tilts towards him. Now, the other thing that he's done that I think is remarkable, Courtney, is the one hole in his game was that he kept getting hurt. He had these injury issues that kept cropping up at the end of the season. I hope I'm not jinxing him by saying this, but this is now on the verge of being 2 years in a row where he's basically going to make it through the entire season without suffering a significant injury. I mean, that was the one hole that you could always poke in Lamar Jackson's game. If he's able to continue to stay healthy, I mean, sky's the limit. You could start carving the guy's bust in Canton right now, regardless of what he ends up doing in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, the health factor for Lamar Jackson, is always going to be brought up because, and even when we saw this year, he lost 25 pounds going into the season. He wanted to be lighter on his feet. And clearly, I think that that's worked out just perfectly for him in 2024. But to me, that's not are you saying that you think that that's something that people are going to use as a knock against him when evaluating his overall body of work?
It was a few years ago because I thought he kept missing all the important games at the end of the year. I kept watching the Ravens with the playoffs on the line with Tyler Huntley playing quarterback, but he's bucked that trend. He played, 16 games last year and he's played all 16 so far this year and is probably they got to win next week to secure the division, so I'm guessing he's going to play next week against the Browns. Leads the league 39 touchdown passes. He has 39 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year. And
it's about shaking I get that part, but it's about shaking the playoff history.
Yeah, right.
That's the hard, I found this. So when he was drafted, this is going into last night's game. So when he was drafted in 2018, he's 8th in the NFL in expected points added per dropback, and he's won 2 MVP awards. Since the playoffs in 2018, 32nd in EPA per dropback, 2-4 record. Imagine if they get to the AFC Championship and are representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. Do they have to win that in order for you to think differently about Lamar Jackson?
No.
I don't think so. But getting there after 6 playoff appearances and only 2 wins in there, that to me is the critical factor that would change people's minds about Lamar Jackson.
With Lamar specifically, as you go through those numbers, he has just not been the same player in the playoffs. And I'd almost throw out the thing that happened the first year, his rookie year when he was starting. That was a tough ask. I think they were playing the Patriots in a playoff game. Good luck there. It's like the Chief AFC Championship game last year where he has just come up small in the biggest moments. I think eventually he'll get over it, but until I see it, I have trouble declaring him, an all-time great quarterback because he's got everything else. His regular season record, Courtney, hold on to your chair for this, is 69-24 in the regular season.
Incredible.
It's Mahomesian, right? I mean, Those numbers are as good as
24
Patrick
games
Mahomes.
since 2018.
He's
That's
lost
6 years.
24
7
games.
seasons.
And his touchdown to interception in his career, he's thrown 164 touchdowns compared to just 49 interceptions. And I'm only looking at the passing numbers. We haven't even talked yet about the fact that he is statistically and in reality the greatest rushing quarterback that the NFL has ever seen.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around that again. Can you say that? Can you say the record one more time? 69 and 40 and 24.
He's 69 and 24.
And I know that we don't
regular season.
Yeah, and I know that we don't evaluate quarterbacks entirely on their win-loss record. Like, there are a lot of people out there, especially the analytics community, who want to beat the drum of wins are not a quarterback stat. But that is jarring. I would love to know what Josh Allen's record is. I would love to know what Joe Burrow, and I mean guys who were drafted not necessarily the same year, but in and around that same time.
Yep.
Mahomesian is probably the right adjective there, because those are numbers that, frankly, like other quarterbacks currently playing don't touch. That's why it feels like it's at such rarefied air.
I mean, 69 and 24. You're winning the percentage of games. I'd have to do the quick math on it. Mahomes is 89 and 23. So Mahomes is on
literally 20 more games.
I can't.
20 more
wins. Those Mahomes numbers, he's 89. And for people who think he might be the greatest quarterback of all time, he's after winning yesterday, he's 89 and 23. And I thought the Lamar numbers were incredibly impressive. 888 say ESPN, 888-729-3776 if you want to jump in on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Let's quickly have a conversation around the Houston Texans, who've been flying under the radar all year. That was a dreadful performance yesterday. This was a team that people considered maybe a Super Bowl contender. I think it's fair to say legitimate sophomore slump for C.J. Stroud. Like, I'm not ready to dismiss his entire career, but to have 0 offensive points put up on the board in that game yesterday, that was a really disappointing display. And I think Houston's got some real things to work on here as they start maybe to look towards first the playoffs and then eventually the offseason. Because as you look at these, if you're watching the highlights right now and you're watching on ESPNU, like all the receivers he's throwing to, none of them are open. They are covered like a blanket on all of these plays. There's got to be something they could do to shake up this offense, give him a few more opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, he completed less than 55% of his passes. That's going to happen. Joe Mixon did nothing last night. 9 carries, 28 yards, didn't get anything elsewhere in the run game. We talk about the sophomore slump with C.J. Stroud, and it's fair to put that on the players because they're the ones who have to go out there and execute. He can't overcome injuries on the offensive line. Most quarterbacks can't. How about a sophomore slump, though, that gets pointed out for the offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick? At what point this season have you looked at the Houston Texans offense and said, man, they really out-schemed that opponent. They out-schemed this opponent. You can't say it because it hasn't happened. And for a team that's 9-7 right now, hanging around, flirting with the postseason, obviously they'll get there because of the byproduct of their division in the AFC South.
They've clinched
their division.
They're
there.
Yeah,
but right. This is not the threat that they were last year, and they were playing with house money last year. They had a rookie quarterback who took a team that was, had 3 wins the year before and made them into a team that went to the AFC divisional playoffs in Baltimore. This is the same team, but it's not the same execution, and I just think that based on the additions that they made defensively this offseason, bringing in Danielle Hunter was a really huge boost for that pass rush. It just felt like nothing's ever really lined up. Like when the offense feels like it was doing well, the defense was taking a step back. Defense does well, offense takes a step back.
Yep.
Start pointing out some of the coaching things too, because I think that is absolutely fair game when teams now have a whole year and a half of film on the Houston Texans and have been able to scheme against them as an opponent. On the flip side of that, Houston's not doing it to anybody it's playing.
Yeah, and by the way, they have a 9-7 record, and most of that is because they get to play the Titans and the Jaguars. They're 4-1 in their division, so 4 of their 9 wins come against those easy division opponents that they have. They would host Pittsburgh in a playoff game if the season ended today. good luck trying to figure out what the line for that game should be. Two teams really struggling. One of them would have to advance ultimately to the divisional round. All right, up next, huge NFL coaching rumor. A new name in with the Chicago Bears. We discuss on Sportsmanlike continues. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin on ESPN Radio. You can watch on ESPNU.
On Sportsmanlike.
Chris Canty winning a Super Bowl means that we as a show are a Super Bowl winning show.
Yes, absolutely.
You're giving me credit as
we are a Super Bowl winning show.
Yeah, high tides lift all boats. He has the hardware, therefore we are a Super Bowl winning show, so you better show that win some love.
More on Sportsmanlike coming up next. Hear that? The sound of your antique fountain pen gliding across linen paper as you journal in the park. And if you were here, you'd be inspired by the warm breeze. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the wind in your face on the road is all the inspiration you need. So if you ride, get a quote and see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Now that's inspiring. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Harry Douglas here for Technique's new noise-canceling True Wireless AZ80 earbuds. Techniques has been revolutionizing the audio game for almost 60 years. With multi-point connection of up to 3 devices at the same time, the AZ80s let you go from leading a meeting to listening to a podcast to taking a call seamlessly. Visit us.techniques.com/sports for special holiday deals on the AZ80s today. That's us.technics.com/sports.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
In a good action movie, the impossible is overcome before the happy ending. The action that started in The Christmas Story continues today. All year long, church people work through Empty Tomb to help local neighbors face situations that can seem impossible. Clothes for a job interview, a bed for a child, food to eat when work hours are cut, 1 month's rent before the first paycheck, a tank of gas to look for work, a medical need not covered by insurance. Empty Tomb connects church people with local neighbors in need. And through the research and mission match, Empty Tomb also helps church people nationally recognize their potential to help others in Jesus' name. I encourage you to include Empty Tomb in your year-end giving. You can make your check out to Empty Tomb Inc. or give online at emptytomb.org. Your gifts in December will continue the action that began with The Christmas Story and continues throughout the new year. And Merry Christmas.
Ever wonder why you pay your bank to have a checking account? Fisher National Bank does too. You see, they offer free rewards cashback checking that gives you cash back on debit purchases, no service fees or balance requirements. Simply make 12 debit card purchases, receive electronic statements, and have one direct deposit in a monthly cycle. It's so simple. Reward yourself today with rewards cashback checking. Learn more at any branch or FisherNational.com. Fisher National Bank. Exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC.
Schefter. That's code Schefter.
Hey, I'm Brett Podolsky, co-founder of The Farmer's Dog. We make fresh food for dogs. We started the company when we saw what a huge difference it made in my own dog, Jada, when she stopped eating ultra-processed kibble and started eating fresh, whole food. The Farmer's Dog food isn't fancy. It's just real food delivered to your door in pre-portioned packs. It's better for them and easier for you.
Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/trial50. That's thefarmersdog.com/trial50.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Everybody had been talking about Bill Belichick coming back, coaching in the NFL. He's off to North Carolina. Another name, older guy, Super Bowl winner, resurfaced in the market yesterday by Adam Schefter of ESPN. Unsportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. You can watch us on ESPNU if you want to tune in. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. We will get to Pete Carroll and the rumors involving the Chicago Bears in just a second. But, Courtney, I have an official announcement that I would like to make, as everybody has their fantasy football championship games this weekend. Okay, starting with the games Wednesday. We got one game tonight, the Seahawks and the Bears, and then we got Saturday, and then we got Sunday. I am ready to announce my retirement from fantasy football. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
What led you to step away from the game?
I just think that it's so driven by luck and guys picking up third-string running backs and storing them on their bench whose names they don't even know and then thrusting them into the lineup. Like, I make small bets on ESPN Bet, which have fulfilled my needs. And I just think at 41 years old, I don't need to be in 3 different fantasy football leagues, do I? I'm realizing I can't even keep up with this stuff. Now I've got kids. Maybe when my kids get older, I can re-enter the fray with fantasy football. Here's the other problem. I've been playing for 25 years. You know how many fantasy football leagues I've ever won, Courtney? Ever.
0.
That is correct. And it's not because I don't know anything about football. It's because fantasy football and I just don't get along. So I'm ready to hand in my retirement papers. I'd like to say goodbye. If anybody's interested in taking over my franchise in the old Cheap Seats League, WNYU Radio in New York City, I'm ready to give it up. I'm ready to say goodbye.
I just want to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because to come to this realization after 25 years of losing, it's an admirable quality about you. You've looked at your situation and you said, you know what? I'm going to radically accept that I'm not a good fantasy football player, that I don't have the time to manage multiple leagues, that I, frankly, might not be a great GM for the way that you handle your roster. You talk about the people who were picking up guys on the waiver wire and stashing them on their bench only to throw them in during the final push to the playoffs. That's not for everybody. You know who else is somebody that fantasy football's not for?
Who?
Me. As an NFL reporter, I can't do it. To me, fantasy is something for the fans. And I give out fantasy advice whenever anybody asks me, hey, is so-and-so playing today? Hey, how did this running back look at practice? He has an ankle injury. Does it look like he's going to go on Sunday?
Yeah.
I love being that person. I love providing that level of intel. I do not like setting my lineups. I do not like having to spend my Tuesday combing the waiver wire on ESPN's fantasy football app. I don't like doing these things because, to me, I like to just enjoy the games that I'm not covering. I like to watch them for context, for talking points, for shows that I know that I'm going to be talking about these games on. I don't need something else added to the mix. I love the Fantasy Football Now show, Sunday mornings, 10 to 1 p.m. on ESPN2. Love Stefania Bell, love Field Yates, love D Wood, love the whole crew. But I do not love to play the game. And you know what? Sometimes having the ability to say, It's okay to not be good at something. It's okay to walk away. That's the bravest thing in anything.
Maybe Pete Carroll can take over and run my fantasy football operation. This segment, by the way, not brought to you by ESPN's great fantasy products, which you can check out wherever you're on ESPN.com or on the ESPN app or on the ESPN Fantasy app. I bring up Pete Carroll's name. You know, it's funny. Was he even on your radar screen as somebody that could get back into coaching? This seemingly came out of nowhere as the Seahawks are about to play the Bears, and I'm sure that's not a coincidence, those two teams being associated with each other. Apparently, Pete Carroll is interested in this job, is interested in getting back into the mix. And while we spent a lot of time talking about Belichick, this is a Super Bowl coach who's 73 years old, but this is a Super Bowl coach who is a proven winner who might be thinking about, Courtney, getting back into the game.
Yeah, so there's a story up at ESPN.com right now that Schefter dropped on Christmas Day. And there's some context here because you're right. He was not on my radar to get back into like head coaching opportunities in the NFL. Currently, he's an advisor for the Seattle Seahawks. So he's in the front office. He's not in an active on-field coaching role. Kind of similar to Mike Vrabel, who was in an advisor role for the Cleveland Browns right now, not an active role on the field. But it's interesting because there's been so much about coaches getting out and then getting back in, and getting back in places you least expected. Nobody expected Bill Belichick to be at North Carolina, of all places, and I don't think anybody expected Pete Carroll and his name to surface for the Bears job. But I do buy it for a number of different reasons. Number one, it's the most attractive opening, arguably, in the NFL of the current ones, which is Saints, Bears, and Jets, and then of the other jobs that are going to come open. Why? You've got a bunch of really good franchise players, you've got good draft capital, and you've got a franchise quarterback.
Right.
There's a lot of runway for this team. I don't know if there's a lot of runway for Pete Carroll at this point of his career. He's 73 years old. How much longer do you want to do this? It's not. I don't have any qualms like, oh, the game's passed him up. Nobody was saying that when he was coaching the Seattle Seahawks. They were saying, oh, look, they got a good season out of Geno Smith. They ran into the San Francisco 49ers, and that's that. And then last year, you know, with everything that happened offensively and defensively, and for, you know, where the team was at the beginning of the year to where they regressed to.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised it was time for Pete Carroll to hang out.
It was time for a new voice. I mean, but in Seattle, he had an amazing run. Right.
He was a head coach for more than a decade. But I don't think that just because he may have a short runway that the Bears should dismiss this as, yeah, like you and your mother and everybody else are interested in our opening. We're only going with the names that we want to interview. Pete Carroll is a respected name in the NFL. You do not know where his network can lead you unless you bring him in or do it over Zoom, however you're going to do it.
Right.
You have to do those things in order to check every single box. If the Bears want to get this thing right, that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
And not turn their nose up at a candidate just because it may seem like, you know, oh, yeah, Pete Carroll, wink, wink. Yeah, right. Like that one's not going to work. You have no idea if it's not going to work until you conduct the interview.
And it's funny, you know, I remember the Browns were doing a coaching search, and I'm in Cleveland. You can see the ESPN Cleveland logo behind me where I live and host a local show here. And I remember their front office talking about, well, you know, yeah, Andy Reid is available this hiring cycle, but we want to find our own guy. And I think they went and hired Pat Shurmur, and I think they would have been better off with Andy Reid as the head coach. And that was at a point where Andy Reid was in his 50s and people thought of him old then. 70 is like kind of the new 50. And if he's willing to really put the work in, which I think he is, I think he's a safer choice than the unproven coordinators that are going to get hired all over the place for these jobs.
Because you know that he's got a staff that he can bring with him that will like, if Pete Carroll's coming in, is he calling defensive plays? Probably not.
No.
At 73 years old, you're the CEO head coach, which means you're hiring a DC and you're hiring an offensive coordinator. Now, there's a caveat here. Not that this was Pete Carroll's fault, because like the whole staff, like he wasn't really fired in Seattle. It wasn't like Pete Carroll out after, you know, a bad 2023 season by Seattle standards. He was promoted. It felt like he was reassigned.
Yes,
is how that
go.
was positioned.
Better
yes,
word. Better word.
Technically, it's like you lost your job as the head coach because he didn't retire, he didn't resign. They just moved him somewhere else. Now, the rest of his staff was gone. One of his staff members ended up in Chicago, Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator for the first 9 games of the season. That did not really work out so well for the Bears. So I can understand Bears fans seeing that, and for a second having the, wait, no, do you remember who his OC was? No. But I want to reassure people that just because those two may have been linked, because Waldron was the OC in Seattle 2021 through 23 and had some decent offenses. Mid is the word I've been using this morning. That is the word I would describe the 2021 Russell Wilson to the 2 years of Geno Smith offenses that Waldron had. That doesn't have anything to do with Pete Carroll, though. Pete Carroll's on the other side of the ball. Pete Carroll's a coach who I think can galvanize a lot of people. He's a leader of men. That's what the Bears say that they want.
Okay.
You at least bring that person in for an interview to make sure he may say something in the interview that has Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, anybody else who's in those rooms go, I didn't think of it that way. Is there a way that this guy may not be my top choice for head coach, but is there a way to bring him in an advisor role, maybe an assistant coach role, something else, so you don't let that expertise and that knowledge walk out your door and go somewhere else?
You know what's funny, Courtney? I could have believed that Belichick would be in the mix for the Bears, and in hindsight, I could have thought that Pete Carroll could be in the mix to go and coach North Carolina. Much more.
Would make sense. He
much
had
more than
coached at the college
Belichick.
level.
Right. Yeah, he has a little bit more college experience. Up next, we reveal the most unsportsmanlike moments of the day. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. Courtney Cronin. Unsportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio. You can watch on ESPN2.
Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
The intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The stakes get much higher.
Arizona State versus Texas. The college football playoff quarterfinals. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. The college football playoff has arrived. Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
The stakes get much higher.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Arizona State versus Texas.
The magic continues.
The college football playoff quarterfinals.
You can feel the electricity.
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. This is Freddie and Harry.
I just think right now, the way that Josh Allen is playing and protecting the football and also making sure that he makes the right play, not the heroic play every time that he's under center and he's touching the football, I think it has really benefited this football team. And a lot of people before the season did not believe that the Bills and Josh Allen would be in this space because of the exit of Stephon Diggs.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
30 for 30 presents the New York Sack Exchange.
Flecko, Lyon, Salam, Gastineau.
If you hit a quarterback and if they got up, you didn't do your job.
They were a brotherhood.
There is no magic formula for controlling the New York Sack Exchange.
But brothers don't always play nice.
Flacco could not stand me.
I said, we're waiting all day for you.
Well, we'll get down on the stairs.
I don't know what you were doing.
Out. I'm still trying to forgive and forget.
Stream the New York Sack Exchange, now on ESPN+.
The Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny.
If you were the Bears and you said, we want a team builder, maybe you think it's Mike Vrabel, you have to really believe he can find the right guy on offense. I do still see the appeal of the offensive guy because at least you know what you're getting. If you get the culture guy, you have to also believe that he's going to make the right hire. So it's kind of like two hires as opposed to one.
Check out The Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
Touchdown!
The electricity, the atmosphere.
Caught at the 5 and in the end zone. This is why you do what you do.
This college football season has been nothing short of magical.
Coverage continues tonight with the Ray Bowl at 5 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
The last Monday Night Football of 2024 is upon us. Jared Goff and the Lions are out for redemption as they head to San Francisco for an NFC Championship rematch.
Who had that on the bingo card? Touchdown Lions!
As Brock Purdy and the 49ers look to make a statement and take down Detroit once again.
He's gone! Touchdown 49ers!
Lions 49ers. Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC.
survived a terrible, terrible moment in our history.
The most unsportsmanlike moment of the day.
That was terrible.
Was not a great look.
Unsportsmanlike moment of the day is on ESPN Radio. You can watch us on ESPNU. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin. This is our opportunity to walk you through some of the most unsportsmanlike moments over the course of the last 24 hours. Courtney, why don't you get us started?
Andy Reid, I love ya. Andy Reid coming into the Chiefs locker room in Pittsburgh dressed as Santa Claus. I don't know what to think, because if there's anybody you'd think would dress like Santa Claus, it's Andy Reid. But come on. Like, I don't know. Do I call it unsportsmanlike if it was cute? It was just one of those moments that made me shake my head and go, are you kidding me? But it's the Chiefs. They can do whatever they want. And all of the Christmas puns, I think we had that caller earlier who pointed it out. There were a lot of them made in games yesterday.
Yep.
When Andy Reid's talking about, look at the gift you guys gave yourself for Christmas. You've got a first-round bye. You've got health. You've got rest.
Home field advantage.
Home field advantage is what he said.
Yep.
I guess I did need Santa Claus to deliver that message to the Kansas City Chiefs. It just comes in the form of their head coach. And this is the head coach who doesn't take himself too seriously, as evidenced by the Snickers commercials and the State Farm
commercials.
Ads.
There are a lot of commercials with the Chiefs. And I'm, as I've said multiple times, I'm a little sick of the Chiefs. The hubris, the chutzpah that it takes, Courtney, to pack that Santa suit. Because if they'd have lost the game, Santa Andy Reid isn't coming into the locker room, right?
I just want to know, was it the equipment manager? Was it, whose idea was this? They went up to Andy Reid because they have to get it in his size.
Yeah.
They just like say, oh, we have one of these sitting around. Like, whose idea was it? And how did they approach Andy Reid about this? Did they say before the game?
Sorry, Courtney. There's no Santa suit in size small. Like, you know,
there are. Like, anybody can be Santa Claus if they want to dress up. I saw people at the games yesterday in the Grinch outfit wearing Santa Claus suits, all shapes and sizes.
Well, whoever is screwing up the Steelers defense should have gone in wearing the Grinch outfit, because that person, they're still unnamed. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. Alluded to by multiple Steelers in the locker room yesterday, should be dressing up as the Grinch. Unsportsmanlike moments of the day. Yeah, I was thinking about this because there's so many athlete birthdays this week and next. LeBron turns 40. Tiger Woods' birthday is on the same day. I think Ozzie Smith's birthday, the Wizard, if you're out there listening, I want to say happy birthday to you. It must really stink, Courtney, to have your birthday either on Christmas or right around Christmas. You're supposed to get two special days. Yeah, you get, like, let's say you're born July 14th. July 14th is one day.
I have a summer birthday. I'm August 1st.
Yeah, okay, so perfect. You had August 1st. You got to celebrate your birthday. You got to have a party, presents, cake, all that. And then you got Christmas, too. Mm-hmm. To have your Christmas and your birthday all rolled into one, that is the worst birthday possible to have, is on Christmas Day. So if you are a Christmas birthday, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you like sharing a birthday with another, famous person in world history, which is the reason we celebrate Christmas in the first place. But I don't know. To me, I would not want my birthday and Christmas to be on the same day, if it was up to me.
So my brother has his birthday January 7th. So he's he gets this. And I remember hearing as a kid that, the amount of presents that you get at Christmas and that you get, if your birthday's close to it, that you get ripped off. I don't think that kid ever got ripped off from anything. So I would venture to guess that he would not think that having his birthday too close to Christmas is a bad thing. It would be tough if you had your birthday on Christmas Day, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like having to share your birthday with Jesus, that seems like you're never going to be the star of the show.
Correct.
That one would be tough.
You're always going to be upstaged by Jesus. I mean, there's nothing you could ever possibly do that would get you past or beyond that. Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, there's a report, this is Daily Mail, so I don't know how seriously to take, whether this is like National Enquirer stuff.
They're the TMZ of the UK.
Okay, so if you think this is true, then I'm going to go ahead and say that it's true. Kim Kardashian apparently, but I like Kim Kardashian. I like a lot of the things. You should respect Kim Kardashian.
Okay. Big Skims guy over here.
Apparently, and I'm open to endorsing the product if Kim would like me to do so. I Well, not going to lie, when I heard Brian Windhurst and the Hoop Collective endorsing it, I might have gone on and bought a pair of Skims underwear.
She's an incredible businesswoman.
Might be wearing them right now. Apparently, she pulls out all the stops on Christmas by hiring a pianist to wake her kids up on Christmas morning and paying said pianist 6 figures to show up at the house at 6 or 6:30 a.m. so that the kids, I guess an alarm clock isn't good enough for the Kardashian kids. They need live piano performance. This might be the most egregious waste of money from a wealthy person that I have ever seen in my entire life. Courtney, your thoughts?
It's real, because I remember your UK Daily Mail article is real, because this was talked about in the Kardashians when it was on E! Before it moved to Hulu. I remember because she has this very avant-garde house, like very modern, concrete floors. And she, because it's in Los Angeles, I believe it's in Calabasas, there's no snow. So she has like these trees that are outside that it's either fake snow or it's real snow. I don't know. It probably is real. She probably has like a giant freezer over her house for Christmas time because she's that wealthy she could do that. But there are scenes in the show where the pianist is there in the house, kind of like when you're at the mall, when you're doing shopping and you see the pianist who's hired for the day, who's just playing some great music. She has one of those in the house. Like, it's not some random Joe Schmo, though. I'm sure it's probably some Grammy Award-winning producer, rather musician, that's doing that. And, you know, it ain't tricking if you got it. That's all I got to say. Like, if you've got the money and you're Kim Kardashian and you want to have a human alarm clock wake your kids up by playing the music from the Peanuts Christmas special.
Absurd.
I think it's great. You know what?
Listen, Kim, if you want someone to wake your kids up playing the piano, I don't know, take piano lessons and then maybe you could be that person.
She's got enough on her plate. She's a lawyer. She's trying to free incarcerated people. She's got Skims. What else does she do?
I mean,
a lot of stuff.
Look.
She's too busy to take piano lessons, in other words.
Like, what's your job? Oh, you know, I'm a doctor. Oh, I host sports programming for ESPN. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm the human alarm clock for the Kardashian family? I don't know.
Also known as a musician. It's probably not the person's only gig.
Apparently, also, I'm getting ripped on social media, bringing it up on X at HammerNation19, where nobody important tweets the show. I was talking about trying to get a gift for someone who I was going over to their house on Christmas Day. Apparently, the Speedway stores here in Ohio have a little wine section and are open.
I'm telling you, you are in Ohio. You're in the Midwest.
Wine?
We drink. We drink. There's always a gas station or a grocery or a liquor store available.
I would have been better off.
It's the thought that counts, Aaron.
I would have been better off bringing a box of wine over to somebody's house.
Heck yeah! Don't knock the Boda box.
I'm not knocking.
Stuff.
I would want to bring a nice gift and not just something. Greeny is coming up next here on most of these ESPN radio stations. For Courtney Cronin, I'm Aaron Goldhammer. This has been Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
I went to My Computer Career because I needed job security.
Because I wanted a career in cybersecurity.
I went to My Computer Career because IT jobs are everywhere.
My old job was going nowhere.
I went because I didn't want college loans for the rest of my life.
Because I wanted a career for the rest of my life.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Classes available online or in person. Financial aid available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. 529 college savings plans accepted.
Not available in Washington State.
Adam Schefter here with Vivid Seats. We've got some late-breaking news coming out of the stands. According to multiple sources, Vivid Seats fans are scoring rewards on every purchase and at a rapid pace. Obviously, these rewards are a game-changer, and coupled with their MVP-worthy ticket selection, why get tickets anywhere else? Don't drop the ball this season. Shop with Vivid Seats and earn rewards on every ticket. And as the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code Schefter. That's code Schefter.
Flooring Surfaces has a brand new showroom. You'll see beautiful products displayed in new and exciting ways, with inspiration around every corner. Enjoy a modern floor covering experience in a space designed to showcase what Flooring Surfaces does best. Premium flooring options, free design assistance, free expert advice, and professional installation services. Now in a showroom that's easy to shop. Visit today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
Flooring Surfaces, your first stop.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
Looking for the perfect pair of boots? Come on down to Pard's Western Shop in Urbana. With an amazing selection that fits every style, Pard's has the perfect pair waiting for you the next time you're hitting the rodeo or stepping out in style. They've got great deals and sale prices on men's cowboy boots, girls' cowgirl boots, and kids' boots. And their friendly staff will make sure you leave with the boots you love. Pard's Western Shop, serving its customers with high-quality merchandise since 1968. Go see them today at 306 North Maple Street in Urbana.
Hi, this is Troy Lands from Lands Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. With colder temperatures here, let's make sure your heating system is operating at its best. At Lands, you can join our comfort family and get exclusive savings and support to keep your heating system in tip-top shape this winter and all year round. Our plans offer tune-ups, discounts on repair, and even lifetime system enhancements. Plus, we back up our equipment with labor warranty when we install it. Find out more about our comfort family maintenance plans at landsinc.com. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
You can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.